Welcome back to Show Me What I've Been Missing, your pop culture podcast that says, hey, look at that thing, or remember that thing. I'm one of your hosts, Elizabeth Stanton, and with me is my other host,
Mack. What's up, guys?
And we are working our way through Sex and the City with spirit fingers, if you're watching the video. Those aren't spirit fingers. These are spirit fingers. But we're not talking about Bring It On. In fact, we're talking about Sex and the City, another 2000s icon, though. But yeah, Sex and the City from start to finish. I've seen it like too many times. Chris has seen it not much at all. And we are in the final season. And we're on season 6, episode 9, A Woman's Right to Shoes. I hate this title. I stand by the overall sentiment of the episode, but I hate this fucking title. Yeah. I think because we're in such a crisis now, it's not funny.
It was thinly veiled, but I respect the I still respect, I guess, the metaphor that was presented. So yeah, it's fine.
It's no Zaza. It's no Zaza Zoo, which some was a loyal listener sent me something about Zaza Zoo, and I was like, I hate it. I will forever hate Zaza Zoo. That's why her and Berger were doomed. Not just because he was a little bitch, but because she felt Zaza Zoo about him and not like normal.
Way to break it down, Elizabeth.
I come in with the type in hot takes. Get your oven mitts on.
I mean, honestly, you know what? To be fair, though, I think most of the reason why they didn't work out was because he was a little bitch. Like, honestly, like looking back on those episodes and stuff like that, like she tried. She actually, I'm giving Carrie some credit here. Like she tried to make that shit work, and he was just an awful person.
Yeah, he sucked. It's hard.
They just weren't meant for each other for sure.
No, he seriously needs to go to therapy.
Yeah, like he should probably be, that dude should probably be single for like a hot year just to
get your head together, bro.
Figure some things. Yeah, I'm saying, work some things out. Maybe go see some, maybe go see a therapist.
Yeah, work through your shit.
Maybe go volunteer in a third world country or something like that. Get some perspective.
Yeah.
It could help.
Couldn't hurt.
That's all I'm saying.
Although watch, he's like talking to like a 6-year-old who's been starving. He's like, do you get why I had to break up with her that way? And the kid's like, please leave me alone. Sir, I'm begging you.
Like, I'm hungry. So don't care about the. I'll eat the post-it.
Leave me alone. Like, were the post-its edible? Sir, I'm starving.
Just leave me alone, please.
Leave me alone. So where to begin with this episode? Poor Samantha doesn't really have much of a storyline, so we'll just kind of I hate to do it, but we'll just kind of lump her in with Carrie.
Yeah, because I mean, it's kind of like they didn't really give her much. Okay, you know what? Straight out the gate, I want to start with Charlotte and Harry because I
have thoughts too.
Let me tell you something. I'm not a neat freak. I am not a neat freak, but I am from the South, and when it comes to respect and
lines being crossed,
woo, boy, listen, we can be in love all day, but if you're
doing what Harry's doing. So yeah. Charlotte and Harry are happily married, and he's like officially moved in. I guess he wasn't like living with her before the wedding, but he is now.
Yes.
So he is,
and I want to remark on that because that's, first of all, that's the first mistake that they made. You never move into somebody's place. What they should have done was gotten a new place together. Because here's the thing:
when all the Trey energy.
Because when you not even that, but great point. I didn't even think about that. But I was just thinking, like, in general, when you move into somebody's house, like, especially somebody who's been living alone, like that, you're kind of encroaching on their territory no matter what. I don't care how in love you are and shit like that. If you're married, like, you're kind of encroaching on their territory, and there's just gonna be resistance, period. Like, no matter how much they try to stop it, your habits are just going to get in the way of their habits, and their habits are going to get in the way of yours, and it's just going to be this. So that's why you need to get a new place so you can grow in the new place together, and you won't feel so territorial, that somebody's like moving into your space and you have to like root for them in your life. No, you're moving in together. You know what I'm saying? You're both building the space.
Building a new life together. And I swear someone had told me there were studies that were like, oh, it's bad for couples to live together before they're married. And I call BS on that because I'm like, no. You gotta test drive the quirks.
Yeah.
Not just like the sex and like the relationship. You gotta test drive the quirks, like in a big way.
Well, you can, but it's also one of those things where it's like, I also think it also depends on the relationship, right? Because like, I don't know, I've always been in relationships, well, not always, but like a lot of relationships that I've had, it's like, you spend multiple days sometimes at the person's house, and that's kind of like living, because if you spend like a week there, you know what I'm saying, sometimes like, a few days, maybe like even 2 weeks. Sometimes I've never done that. I've never done longer than a week, but I'm just saying, like, if you're spending a lot of time at the other person's place, you kind of get a feel of what it's like to live together. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's like a terribly bad idea to say, oh, you can't move into it, but it also depends on the relationship, because like, if y'all never spent a night together, then that's probably, like if y'all never spent like a few days together, that's probably, y'all might want to test the waters a little bit.
And as the case was here, you still might be hiding stuff. So Harry's like all moved in, but he apparently likes to drink tea a lot, which I am a tea drinker, so I really took issue with this as well. And
wait, you say you're not a tea drinker?
I am a tea drinker. I am. I drink tea. I don't really drink coffee. Tea is my
First of all, coffee is butt juice. Okay, I don't know why anybody wants to drink it. It's fucking disgusting, especially in America. I can understand if you're drinking it overseas when the coffee is like actually pretty decent and okay, but here, how the fuck would you want to drink that shit?
I absolutely baffle people though when they're like, "You don't drink coffee." I was like, "Yeah, mostly tea." I think it's like, how are you so energetic then? It's like, I don't know. I'm just a hyper person.
Well, green is better anyway, because it's like slow building energy, so you like it sustains longer than just like a shot of coffee with a fucking shit ton of sugar, because that's how Americans drink coffee. It's like coffee with a side of sugar, or sugar with a side of coffee.
Yeah. But as a regular tea drinker, I always like, I let my tea steep and then I throw out the bag. I do not take the bag out, and Harry is literally leaving them like all over everything in the apartment, like desks, tables, and it's also like half of the shit in the apartment is white too, and it's just ridiculous. Like,
okay, and that's the crazy thing too, because like he's doing this, and apparently we find out later that this is him like trying to curb some of his bad habits, and yet but like, what would possess you to take the tea bag out of the cup and just lay it down, not throw it away, not like wrap it up in tissue, or
put it
just
on a
leave it in
little
the
plate,
cup,
the spoon, something.
Yeah, just like, okay.
What does this place look like?
I don't know. That's the crazy thing, because it's like, okay, I'll give you a small piece of credit. Like when he was putting it on the newspaper, it's like, okay, maybe he was done with the newspaper, he's gonna throw it out, killing two birds with one stone. Sure. But he was leaving them on the bare counters. I was like, what in your brain computes that as a good choice?
Yeah. Like,
how did you think, like, oh, this is okay, Charlotte's gonna be cool with this? Or just, if this is cool in general, like, who raised you? Are you an animal?
Yeah.
Are you an animal?
Yeah. I know. It's so funny because like they scale back some of his like obnoxious behaviors going into the wedding, and then they just ramp it up for this episode.
Yeah. I was like, this is like first month dating.
It feels out of order somehow. Like they were like, oh, but maybe it was an abandoned storyline, and they're like, well, we need to have Charlotte do something this episode, and we'll just give her this.
Well, yeah, I mean, because here's the thing too, right? It is kind of a chore for the writers at this point, because Charlotte has got the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
that's what her character has been wanting since day one, and she's gotten it. So it's like, what do we do with her now? We have to give her some kind of story, some kind of conflict. Otherwise, her character would just fade out of the existence, would make sense actually, because you kind of do lose that, right? Like once you go off and get married, you're not like hanging out with your friends and going to brunch and all that stuff like that on a regular basis like you were before.
Yeah.
especially a newlywed. As a newlywed, like,
yeah,
you know,
that's funny because that kind of ties into all the Carrie stuff too, which we'll get to. But
yeah.
and then like friendships changing. But like they're speaking
Yeah.
of brunch, they're at brunch and they're like, "How's moving in with Harry going?" And she's like, "Well, it's good, but I know I can be rigid." And they all go, "No," just like so rude but so funny.
He is, but like, dude is disrespectful though. That's all I'm
It's
saying.
disrespectful.
Like,
It's bad. It's so bad.
yeah, come on, bro.
But then this hilarious exchange happens, which is one of the more iconic, hilarious moments. She's like, "We have a teabag situation," and Samantha goes, "Oh, just breathe through your nose." And they're all like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And she's like, when you're sucking on his balls. And Charlotte's like, "I meant tea bags, not whatever you're talking about." And I love Miranda going, "Why do they call it? Oh, I get it, because then it's like," and she like works it out in public.
So
It's
was
so
this
funny.
like the first? I guess was this around
I
the
feel
era
like
when like teabagging first became like a popular slang term
I
for
think
that?
so. Yeah, I think this is one of
Okay,
those
let's
like
see.
pop
Okay,
culture moments. I don't know that they popularized it, but like
yeah.
they
No,
made
no, there's
they
no way they popularized.
no, but they definitely put it on like other people's radar.
Right. Yeah. No, I feel like teabagging came from movie. So maybe not American Pie, but a movie like that. You know what I mean? Like something
Yeah,
like that that
yeah,
came out in the 2000s. High school party type of thing.
yeah. Like when you hear all those like dirty like Cleveland steamer, like dirty stupid,
Right. Yeah. 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 Exactly. Yeah. 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 Something
like
like
high
that.
school, like somehow at every high school there's always someone who's like, "I have been handed this knowledge of like disgusting sex acts that probably aren't even real, but like whatever." um and then
Well,
it's
that cliche does exist because I definitely knew a dude in high school. I'm like, why do you know all this? What did you
right, there
like?
is always one little pervert that like
Yeah,
knows it all.
yeah. Did you just like go online? It's like, oh, the most depraved sex acts. Oh, Cleveland steamer, the fucking Carolina windpipe, the fucking whatever.
I don't want to know what the
Jesus.
Carolina.
I don't think that's a real thing, but it sounds fucked up. That's
It's a
all I'm
good
saying.
fake one. It's a
Yeah.
good fake one.
Yeah. Whatever it is sounds really fucked up. I know it does.
Yeah,
I know if it does exist, it's probably
it's probably fucked up.
absolutely horrible.
Yeah, and I started to think they weren't as funny when like literally all of them, or at least like a list that I was like being told at one time was like every one of them was just like degrading as fuck to the woman. Like not the guy, like nothing happens, but like they're always
Yeah.
terrible. Like
Yeah, that is kind of the norm of it. Is like it's
yeah.
usually terrible for the woman that's involved in it. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like you punch her in the stomach and then like do that, and that's the Poughkeepsie popper or something.
We're about to get hate mail from Carolina and fucking Poughkeepsie.
It's
We don't do sex acts like that.
I wouldn't assume you do, because both of those were made up that we said, other than Cleveland.
Yeah.
But Cleveland can suck it because Ohio can suck it. Michigan forever, baby.
I love that. It's also, I like this exchange between the ladies too, because one, of course, Samantha knows what the fuck it is, but
Yeah.
just watching Charlotte's face as it's explained to her, wait, what it is, she just in horror. She's like, "Wait, people do that?" It's like,
And it's been a while since we've had like a shocked Charlotte, and I was
right.
like, oh, good old days. We got an
Now,
almost as good as
that
the time she walked out, but not quite as good. Nothing will ever top
the time she just got up and left and didn't even engage. Nothing. Never. No. That's peak. That's peak Charlotte. She's like, nope, not even. Not today.
Even gonna
not
try. Not even gonna engage with this shit.
Oh man, no, that's the funniest Charlotte has ever been. Is that moment? It's just getting up and leaving like that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's classic. And still to this day, I laugh.
So she gets home from the brunch and she's talking to Harry. He's making tea again. And he's like, man, I love living with you. And she's like, I do too. But I don't want to nag. By the way, I'm doing it really passive aggressive as I'm retelling it. She's much nicer actually when she's trying to go through this. But you know, she's like, you leave the tea bags all over the house and they stain. And he's like, I was trying so hard to keep my bad habits to myself since it's your house. And she's like, no, it's our house. And that's what you're saying earlier is like they needed a fresh start, really.
That's you holding back. Imagine what you are really like then.
Yeah.
Jesus. Which we get a glimpse of again later.
We do. And she's like, I want you to be yourself though. It's our house. And he's like, okay, but I'm like a bull in a china shop. And they have like a cute little flirty moment. It's nice. Sure. It gets worse though, as you said, because one morning, a few days later, he's greeted in the kitchen by him and he's totally naked, but he has a tea bag. He's like, look, I'm putting the tea bag in the trash, but he's again totally naked. I know it's her husband, but it's still weird. And he's like strolling around getting food and stuff and like walking away. She's like, are you gonna shower? And he's like, later. And then he sits down bare-assed on one of their nice white chairs. And apparently he's an always nude because there's like a montage of him like just wandering around their apartment like totally naked and like sitting on everything. And like, oh my god. Talk about you. Have you seen that TikTok trend of you can't eat at everybody's house? That little song people say like,
correct.
This is a you can't eat at everybody's house situation. Because I know Charlotte keeps a clean kitchen. At the very you could probably eat at her house, but you sure as hell can't sit at her house.
Yeah, balls out sitting on everything. And like that's my thing too. And again, to bring up the point that you made, most of the items in this apartment is white. So you're sitting your dirty butthole and ball sweat on white couches and white chairs and shit like that. And you don't think nothing of that? Like you don't think that maybe this is not a good idea to sit my bare ass?
Yeah.
Because like here's the thing. Even fresh out the shower, no butts. A straight up bare butthole should not be on anybody's furniture. No, that'll get you kicked out. I would have divorced him right there as soon as he sat down. Like, oh, we're getting a divorce.
Yeah,
you're an animal. I don't marry animals.
This is like a quick side note, but I recently watched like the old Invisible Man movie, and to be fully what
the black and white one.
Yeah. And to be fully invisible, like he has to be naked. And obviously you don't see anything, but then he's like sitting around and like smoking cigarettes and direct, he's like an asshole. So he's always barking orders at people. And I was like, man, they never really touch on that, but it's absolutely hilarious that there's like a naked man sitting on all this furniture. And I know he's invisible, but like, what an asshole move to do to just be like, not only am I invisible and I'm threatening you and I'm a murderous like psycho, I'm also just gonna rub my bare ass all over your furniture and there ain't shit you can do about it because you can't even see where it's happening.
And that's the thing too, right? Like that's because here's the thing: it's not only is it gross because you're rubbing your bare ass on it, but like a person like Harry, you think he's like going to the bathroom when he has to fart? No, he's farting right in the chair,
ripping farts
with his bare ass on it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna fuck around and lay on the couch and get pink eye because he left his fucking butt crust all over the goddamn.
Yeah. No. Disgusting.
Divorce. You're an animal. But fucking take you to a goddamn etiquette class or something. Like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?
Charlotte is the kind of person that either of us though, because again later she comes home to see him naked, and he's like, "We should bring back cocktail hour." Like he's trying to just be like flirty and weird or whatever and like cute, and he goes and sits on like a new white couch. I think they call it new. And she finally like this is where I wrote she like gently snaps because she like kind of goes, Harry. And she's like, I'm trying to be less rigid and I want you to be yourself. And I'm almost used to the naked thing. He goes, oh, I knew it was too much. Like, yeah, bro, you kind of went from 0 to 100.
Like, yes. Yeah, dude, it's like, I get it. Like, yes, we are married, but like, that's just weird. Why are you walking around naked, bro? Put up, like, walk around in your boxer is fine, but like, why you gotta, I wouldn't walk around naked. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, maybe if you just got out the shower or like just had sex, you gotta walk around a little naked, you know what I'm saying? But like, just in general, that's like, no. I don't even do that in my place. Like as a
No.
person, what are
And
you
it
doing?
would be another thing if they were both naked people, like if they both liked being naked in their own home all the time, then
Right.
it wouldn't matter as much.
Right.
But when it's
Yeah.
imbalanced like that, no. Mm-mm.
Wear
But
a
he's
robe at least if you.
yeah. Oh
I
my
don't know.
god. If you need the
So
freedom,
many
right?
options.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a lot of options, and he chose none of
So
them.
many options. He chose zero of them. Zero options of all the nice things he could have done for her. Like weird to me too, because like I kind of envy in the sense of like people who are just so oblivious to
I know.
like
Oh,
who's around them. They're just so free like that. Like the fact that that didn't even compute in his mind as something that might be a little bit, I don't know, disrespectful or just like unaccommodating or
yeah.
I don't know. I can't even think of the word. Just like the fact that it didn't even compute that like maybe he's making his wife uncomfortable doing that stuff is crazy to me.
But she's like, you can be naked or whatever, but like, could you put something between your butt and the couch? And he's like, all right, I can put shorts on. And then they just sit there, and she's like, could you do it now?
Like, yeah, right now, like that. That wasn't me just saying in the future. This is
a
starting now.
Yeah.
Yeah, starting right here, right now, fam.
Yeah, again, like you said, so many options. Bro, even if he's like, no, I want my like dick and balls to be like totally uninhibited. Yeah, wear a robe then.
Yeah,
You
wear a
could
robe. Just
do
put a towel down every time you sit somewhere or something. I don't
yeah,
know, like whatever.
a
If you
kilt,
must walk around there,
something,
yeah,
anything.
even
Literally, again, so many options. And he chose the most disgusting one possible, which is to rub your bare ass on the white couch. And like he gets up and she like kind of looks at the couch and even like wipes like her hand, kind of like to wipe
listen.
something off.
Also, too,
Which go wash your hand, girl.
right. Oh yeah, she did. Yeah, after he got up, she like swipes it. I'm like, what would you do? Why
I
would
was
you
like,
touch it?
that's how you get stains set in shit.
Right.
That
Why
ain't
would
coming
you
out
touch?
now.
Why would you swipe that? That's the worst thing you could do of something on the surface of fabric. You just rubbed it
Yeah.
in if there was something there. You know what I mean? Oh man. Also, too, man, I got he's he must be very much in love or very secure in himself because and the reason why I'm saying this, I'm not making fun of his body, but I just know that as a man, the male body is not that appealing. And I know women, even if you're in love with the dude, you don't want to just see it all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's kind of only like a when we're getting it in type situation. I know for the most part. So like
Correct.
the fact that he's walking around like that, she could easily be like falling out of love with him with all that naked that he's walking around in.
I converted for this.
Yeah. Like again, I'm saying like that's not me. There's no shade towards him as a person or like his body or nothing like that. I'm just saying in general, the male form is just not that appealing to women. So I don't know how much she wants to see that. Period. And he's just showing it all day, every day. It's like you taking some risks, sir. You're taking some risks.
Bless your confidence, though. Would that we all had that.
But I don't know if it's confidence because
or obliviousness.
It would be confidence if it was just the naked thing, but it might be a little bit like a narcissism or something like that. Because like he's putting tea bags all over the place and not even thinking about like this is kind of stupid or this is fucked or this is kind of gross or whatever. It's like he's just an idiot almost.
But that's their story, and we had to see it. I'm just kidding.
A lot of man butt in this episode. A lot of man butt.
Yeah. So on to Miranda, shall we?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Wait. I told you. There's some foreshadowing.
Hey, hold on. Well, because her I would say I was gonna say we could save hers for last, but her story is not as it's juicy, but it ain't juicy.
Yeah. No, we gotta the Carrie stuff's a big talker. We gotta.
Yeah, that was a man. Although I'm gonna say this now, and you're gonna be surprised, but I respected her pettiness in this episode.
Oh,
Carrie's pettiness, top notch. She gets the fist in the air. I'm with it because we're gonna get to it, but she gets props on this episode. All right, so Miranda.
So Miranda's at her building's like co-op board. meeting. They're discussing Dr. Robert Leeds, who's like a potential new apartment owner, and he is a doctor, and they're like looking at his financials and everything because they're picky and fussy, and so
real thing. Like, do buildings have like these kind of boards and stuff like that?
I believe they
like,
do.
Wow, that's crazy.
Because part of I think what makes it a co-op is they mention it later in the meeting. They're like, well, we don't know if we want him because he's single, and they have parties. So it's sort of like, in theory, the co-op board, quote unquote, like not owns the building, but it's sort of like a HOA for the building. Some kind of a.
To me, to think that like at HOA, like there's like an organization that won't let you move into the neighborhood if they don't think you're a good fit, and it's like, I got money. Go fuck yourself. Who cares what I, you know what I mean? Like, we don't got to be friends. We don't got to be neighbors. We don't got to talk to each other. Like, I'll stay out of your shit. You stay out of my shit.
No,
why would you? You know what I mean?
HOAs tend to be almost inherently racist, and were started because
a little bit.
Through redlining and all sorts of other like historical, like systemic things that are bad. And then they're also run by like petty psychos that are like, your grass is a quarter-inch too long, that's a fine. And it's people who have like too much time on their hands, and so they enforce all these like ridiculous rules. I've read so many crazy horror stories of them just like, racking up fines. And then it's great, sometimes there are like HOAs, and then there's like one neighbor that like doesn't fall within the HOA, but like they still the HOA tries to like enforce things on the person. They're like, you literally have no authority over me, like A in general and B as an HOA, so like fuck out of here.
Right.
It's again, it's almost exclusively like old white people who are like too much time on their hands. But anyway,
and when you got that kind of time, that means you got a lot of money, which means I need to talk to the government about you. Like, somebody ain't paying any taxes. Why you got this much time to be worried about how many inches my fucking grass is? No, come see them, IRS. They got too much money. They're too relaxed.
Yeah, because like, yes, in theory you want to like maintain property values, and if there's one like ratty ass house on the street with like couches on the lawn and stuff, that's bad, and you should like deal with that. But they're always picking on, like, they pick on everybody, and as like, it's your garbage cans weren't pulled in, but then they always, again, because they have too much time and money, they're like, your garbage cans need to be pulled in like immediately after the garbage is taken in. Well, okay, if the garbage is like picked up at anytime after 9, well, most people are at work, so how on earth am I supposed to? And they're like, well, that's not my problem, it's the HOA rule. Go fuck yourselves. Go get a fucking real hobby.
You're worried about your own element moving in, but anybody like you said, it's like somebody who's gonna have couches on the lawn. Anybody that has that kind of habit is probably not being able to afford living in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Most neighborhoods that have HOAs aren't gonna allow. You know what I mean? Like, nobody who puts couches or like parks their car in the yard is gonna be able to afford a house in that motherfucker, unless they just like came into some crazy inheritance, or sued somebody and got got injured at work and got a big settlement or something. Maybe.
Anyway. But it would seem though that nobody knew he was black beforehand, because he comes in, or at least Miranda didn't know, and she's like, oh, and they're like trying to. He's a doctor for the Knicks, so she kind of like talks sports and baseball with him, and they're like hitting it off. And one of the ladies is like, I noted on your tax form, and Miranda's like, we'll get to that, okay? Okay.
I mean, listen. The actor that's playing the doctor is Blair Underwood, and let me tell you something. That man is upsettingly handsome. I've seen him in real life.
So handsome. Oh, you've seen him in real life?
I've seen him in real life. I've been face to face with him, and the whole time I'm looking at him like, you motherfucking handsome motherfucking
handsome bastard.
Why are you this good? Yeah, just. I mean, I was saying that in the back of my mind, and
of
to
course.
his face, I was like, "Man, I love you as an actor. You're a great guy. Like, you inspire me." In the back of my mind, I was like, "If you was ever around my girl, I'd punch you in the face before I introduce you to her."
No hard feelings, but I gotta do this.
No hard feelings. I gotta mangle you up a little bit so she don't leave me for you. Okay. Although that wouldn't happen. He's been happily married for like, I think like 30 years or some shit like that.
Yeah. No, I'm just like, I was didn't do a ton of research ahead of time, but I've known who he is, and he's like an Emmy Award winner. He's you know,
Oh yeah.
acts, directs, produces, all around cool dude and handsome to boot. Like, oh, excuse me, just got out here giving with both hands.
I mean, hands and feet. What are you talking about?
So the meeting ends and they bid him farewell, and the co-op board is like, we're worried about his financials. He has high alimony payments. You know, we don't like that he's single. It's the single ones who throw parties. And Miranda's like, I think we all know what's not being spoken here.
Yo, Miranda pulled the black card.
I know. Just because she wanted some dick, man. I don't think
in the room. She wasn't even in the room. She's like, oh, so that's what we're, so y'all just gonna pretend that the reason why y'all don't want him here is because he's black. Like, whoa.
I think she really that.
I mean, she didn't say it, but she said it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Is she that much a champion of the people though, or she just wants dick? Like,
she wants dick. I mean, look. Okay, take Blair Underwood being like an actor in real life. If you saw a dude like that and you're a horny single mom, you know what I'm saying? You want that in the building.
I'd drive the U-Haul to his other apartment and be like, can I help you? I have no upper body strength. Can I help you lift some things though into this U-Haul? I just thought I'd volunteer to help you move.
Yeah.
Drive over the I'd drive over that whole co-op board with the U-Haul truck trying to get to it.
Yeah, and like that's the thing too. Like the whole alimony thing is like, who cares about his alimony? Can he pay the rent?
Right. Well, it's he would own the apartment. He would actually be owning the apartment as well, because that's Miranda owns hers there. So I get like could they make their mortgage payment or whatever? But yeah. It's in my head I was like, well, whose business is it that he has alimony or whatever? And I was like, banks and financial shit is so wild. They like want to know everything, and and
that's crazy too. That I was thinking about that too as well. It's like, why do they have access to this?
It's all in his application. Like, he had to like fill it all out. They ran like
but why do they get to look at the application? That's what I'm trying to figure out. How is it legal for them? Like, they're not the owners of the building, right?
Well, again, because I should have researched co-op boards, but whatever. But I think because they are sort of co-owners of the building in the sense that it's like a co-op thing, cooperative.
Yeah,
they get the say of like who. They're not landlords because he would own his own apartment, but like they're kind of like landlords. And so when you apply for an apartment, they're like, gonna need everything you've ever done under the sun and 3 months rent advance. And you're like, go fuck yourself. But here you go. I need somewhere to live.
Yeah, that makes more sense because if everybody in the building owns their apartment, that kind of makes more sense. Which kind of makes me wonder what some of the other tenants that live there, especially because there's like other single moms in the building. It's like, what the fuck do y'all do for a living that y'all own these apartments in New York? Shit.
Yeah. Well, like I said, he's a doctor for the Knicks, and that is big money.
Right. So yeah.
So
and that's the thing too. You would think you would want somebody like that because, you know what I'm saying, like, that brings like more publicity to the building. Somebody like that, like high status person that lives in your building, that's gonna make the property value go up. So that way, if anybody wants to sell, you can probably make more money out there. It's like the doctor for the Knicks lives in this building. Like somebody wants to live next to that,
And like I gotta imagine pretty steady work. Like,
it's gotta be. It's gotta be. Yeah, I mean the only way he can get fired is if he gets himself fired, basically.
Yeah. But Miranda's race card works because next time we see him, he's getting on the elevator with her.
It is.
And he got the apartment. He's like, I think you might have had something to do with convincing them. And she's like, no. And they're all flirty. But then he notices that she's got like a pockmark from chicken pox because Brady has chicken pox.
Yeah.
And apparently Miranda never had it as a kid. Now, apparently,
I was like, how does that happen? I mean, it's so weird to me that there's people out there who have never had chickenpox and like
there
get
are
it as adults.
Less and less people who have it now as kids than like when we were kids. I think there's a vaccine for chicken pox.
Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
And it's weird because like sometimes you like want your kid to get it and then it's out of the way, but then you could also get shingles from it when you're older, so like that's bad too. So like that's why you well, I mean, like chickenpox, you as a kid can live inside you basically and turn into shingles. If you never have it, then in theory you won't have shingles. So like I'm no doctor. And it's been, you know, it is for whatever reason, and I don't know the science. It's supposed to be worse when you get it as an adult.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, I got it from my kid." He's like, "I thought you were single." She's like, "Oh, I am. I'm so single."
Yeah, she put that out there real quick. She's like, no, I don't have a kid. I just say that there's a man behind it. Just said there's a kid.
Yeah. So, but he even like comes to her apartment to help her out. Because he's already had chicken pox, and he's like, and I want kids. He meets Brady right away. He's nice with the baby. He like dabs like lotion on her neck because she's got like more chicken pox already forming. And Magda walks in and is like, "Hey, I'll take care of this baby for you." She's all like suspicious or whatever. Yeah. She had a weird vibe.
Yeah, that's me and my friend were talking about that. I was like, was her look of disapproval or just like genuine suspicion, just because like, you know, she don't know the dude. But I don't know, you know, Magda's from the old country. I don't know if she really, you know, I don't know if they do interracial relationships where she comes from, you know what I'm saying?
And I think she is still rooting for Steve because it's the father of the baby and everything like that.
Oh, right. Of course. No, 100% she's still rooting for that because they have a baby together. And in her mind, where she grew up, is if you have a baby together, you're supposed to be together.
Yeah.
So, so she was definitely disapproving because, he's not the father of her baby.
But Miranda is like all giddy and stuff like that. And then she gets like full blown chicken pox. And she's talking to Carrie on the phone about other stuff, and you know she's trying. Well, I don't want to spoil the Carrie business.
I know. You just like yada yada it, other stuff.
But she's trying to not itch, and she's like, luckily there's a Jules and Mimi marathon on, our favorite fake British show. And Carrie's like, well, speaking of handsome black man, how's the doctor? And Miranda hasn't really seen him since she's kind of like quarantined herself in with the chicken pox for the weekend. But then later on in the episode, she's still watching Jules and Mimi, and he knocks on the door, and he's just come by to like check on her, which is like super nice of him to do. Like,
she did kind of have him get into the building, so you know, at least owed her that much. Like, you know, check up on her chicken pox situation.
But she kind of invites him in, and he even brought like a little basketball toy for Brady, but he's asleep, and he notices the TV. Now the Jules and Mimi scene she like has paused are Jules and Mimi in bed. And I love that the show is so hilarious. So he's like, what are you watching there? And she's like, oh, it's Jules and Mimi. She's the landlord, and he lives in the flat. And then, you know, she's explaining some of the plot, and he's like, oh, I'm kind of intrigued, and my cable's not hooked up, and like kind of sits himself down. And so then she hits play in the show. I love this Jules and Mimi show. It's so like half a step above porn because they're like lying in bed, and she's like, Jules, you didn't have to bring the you know, rent money over to the flat yourself. And he's like, oh, it's no problem. And then they just like start making out, and it's like so porno sounding.
And man, that has to be so awkward. Not only like it's like it, dude. I can't even imagine the the awkwardness, right? Because okay, it's a TV show. They got an interracial couple in it. You're sitting on the couch with a black dude who you don't even know, and all of a sudden, this like borderline pornographic sex scene just happens.
Yeah, with the music and everything.
You know what I mean? Like that has to be worse than watching a sex scene with your parents. You know what I mean? It's just like, oh man, it's so awkward.
And then if you're
like, you know, she's like, it's like some kind of fetish,
right?
Yeah, get together. You know, it's like so many thoughts. It's like, dude, I just would have been like, hey, I gotta go check on the baby. I wouldn't even stay for this shit.
Well, yeah, like, or if you're him, are you like, is this like a fetish for her? Is that why she like helped me get in the building? Is she like trying to recreate this show? Is she a lunatic? Oh my god, I should get out of here.
Right. Yeah, it's awkward. Yeah, and that's the thing too, right? Because the fact that she's even watching that show now, he has to think like, yeah, is that the reason why she wanted me in here so bad, so she could like, did she spend all her days watching this show and like build up some fantasy in her head that she was gonna have this as well?
But that's
okay. Tell me anything, but I thought cool plot twist because before when he sits down to watch the show, they started. He goes, "Oh, I like a brother with an accent." And I'm like, what you mean by that, doctor?
Oh, nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, I thought they were like trying to hint at that he might be gay. I was like, if he turns out to be gay, I am on the floor laughing because Miranda is hard up, my boy.
No, nothing that true. He's just being like friendly, polite, I suppose.
Okay. That would be a great twist, though. I'm not gonna lie.
No. I think they would play it in the show that her gaydar would be better than that, so to speak, and so she would pick up.
I don't know. Remember, because she had that whole tryst with the lady lawyer in like season 1 because she couldn't read her gaydar was off.
Oh no, they thought she was gay. The co-workers, so she got set up with. She just tried out being gay, for lack of a better phrasing.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Boy, that's right.
So on to the focus of the episode, so to speak.
Yes.
There's a little montage that opens it with Carrie buying all sorts of gifts off of registries for friends who are getting married or having babies and all that stuff. And she and Stanford are going to their friend Kira's baby shower. Kira, fun fact, is played by Tatum O'Neal, famous child star. Won an Oscar when she was like 9 or 10 or something like that for Paper Moon, I believe, with her dad, Ryan O'Neal, who was an abusive piece of shit. True. He was really rude and awful to her, and he resented that she became successful, like more successful than him in some ways, and then he went on to date Farrah Fawcett, and they had a bunch of like problems and troubles, and
that's why that name sounds weird. Okay, that's why that
and then he has a son, Redmond, who had all sorts of drug problems himself and has been in and out of jail. I think might still be in jail. So Tatum O'Neal had a rough go of things, but has got to say the least, but got her life and career on track. I don't think she had like intensely wild like fall as Drew Barrymore, let's say, but like on par with like too little, exposed to too much too soon as a kid kind of a thing. And then had this really terrible dad who I know Ryan O'Neal was like a heartthrob, and like in that movie Love Story, like the love means never having to say you're sorry movie and all that stuff and whatnot, but he was like, again, just awful to his daughter.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. So that's just a fun fact of who's playing that role. So Kira's like, her sister at the party is like, oh, Kira and the husband, don't want outside dirt. So could you take your shoes off? For cleanliness, in the house and not germs and stuff like that. And Carrie's like, really reluctantly does it.
Yeah, first of all, let me tell you something.
You having a party, you get to keep your shoes on.
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. First of all, I am a stark believer in people taking their fucking shoes off in my apartment. I don't give a fuck if you have hardwood or fucking carpet, whatever. You take your fucking shoes off as a courtesy to me, okay? Because let me tell you something. Especially in the cities like Los Angeles and New York, where the streets are fucking filthy, I do not want the city coming in with you into my apartment. No. And also, yes, she has kids and kids that crawl around and put things in their mouths because kids are gross, and that's what they do. They put shit in their mouths, and then I gotta go to the hospital back and forth because my kids got some infection because you brought some shit from New York streets onto my house. No, take your fucking shoes off. I'm 100% believer in that. All right, it worked for the Asians. We can fucking do it too. Okay.
I generally agree. I think generally, yeah, take your shoes off at the door. I think if you are hosting a party with that many people coming and going, and like it's a nicer party where people are going to be, I don't know, dressed up or wearing nicer shit or whatever, I think you can, for the one night, let people keep their shoes on.
Nope. Not unless they're gonna mop.
You mop on your way out the door.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'll be that person. You know what? If you must have something covering your feet, if you're one of those people that like can't have your feet just out, I'll put them goddamn fucking surgical booties out there where you can put on your foot. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you ain't just gonna be walking around my feet or my house with your disgusting city feet. No, them.
Yeah. I did laugh though. Carrie's like, "Well, I'm kind of wearing like an outfit," and they're like, and she takes the shoes off. And...
I mean, listen, I get it. Trust me, because even sometimes when I walk into places and they're like, "Take your shoes off," I'm like, "But this whole thing goes together." But I still take them off. Still take them off. Yeah, like here's the thing. It's like, yeah, I get it. Like when you plan out a whole outfit, it's like you will see you in that whole thing, like. But that's why you gotta wear socks that match the outfit as well.
True.
So if they do take your shoes off, it still fucking works.
But that's harder for girls because sometimes your socks don't go with the shoes you're wearing.
Right. Correct.
But I do like Carrie being like, I feel so teeny, and she is short. She's only like 5'2" or something in real life. She's really tiny. Yeah. And so Carrie and Stanford are at this party, and it's kind of like winding down, and like they're a little like out of the conversation because they're talking like they're sitting with the friends on the couch, and they're talking about like a house they bought and all this other stuff, and they kind of go to leave, and Carrie's shoes are missing. And she tells her host, she's like, someone took my shoes. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Here, you can borrow some shoes to go home in. And they're like, sneakers or whatever.
Disrespect. The disrespect of the shoes. Like, she told her what kind of shoes they were. Like, you know what I mean? She knew, like, this woman is aware. Like, she used to roll into the same circles that Carrie did. So that's how much the shoes are. And you don't give me some dusty-ass, dirty-ass tennis shoes to go home in. The disrespect.
Oh, it just keeps getting really worse from here. So Carrie is like still pissed at about the shoes at brunch, and the girls are all like totally shocked by the theft. And Samantha's like, why did you even take the shoes off in the first place? And they explain the germ thing. And Miranda makes this great point, which is true. She's like, please, kids have all the germs, which is 100% true. She's like, Brady got chickenpox from a kid who like licked him on the playground, but like every child is a little typhoid. That was the funny.
She's like, I'm sorry, just like the funniest thing that can happen. It's like Brady got chickenpox from a kid that licked him on the playground. Yeah. Like, it's just so gross, dude.
But every child,
you just licked another person. Like, what possessed you to lick another person?
Kids are so weird too. But and they're little typhoid Marys. To every last one of them. Little germ warfare, all of them. 100%. 2 Christmases ago, I caught a horrendous stomach flu from my little niece and nephew.
Believe it.
Like the night and into the day before I was supposed to fly home, and I'm talking like both ends situation, and pulled it together and got on the flight. Dude, but I thought I was going to die.
I'd be too scared. Oh my god, I'd be too scared. I'd be like, no, this is the one time. Like, because like even if I held it all the way in to get to the airport, I'd be like, watch, as soon as the plane takes off, because that would be my fear. Because in that takeoff, your stomach kind of shifts, and I'd be like, that would be the thing that like brings it just like full force. I can't control. I can't stop it. Mayday! Everybody's getting a piece of it.
Extra funny too, because this just tells you how pre-COVID times this was. So I puked in the TSA line. I found a garbage can and puked in that in time, and then and very politely was like, do you want me to throw this out? And they like took care of it or whatever. And I got I find like that was kind of apparently the last throw of it though. So like I was with my mom and we were kind of like waiting it out, and I asked like as soon as we were on the plane, I said, I have like a stomach bug, like upset stomach thing. I was like, could I have like a trash bag just right off the bat to just have? And they were like, yeah, no problem. Here you go. And they just let me have. And I thank God didn't need it because like I finally got like some Gatorade and like a cracker or two in me to like kind of tamp down like the uneasiness where you just like you're finally like I can have a crumb of food and a drop of moisture that won't set off a horrendous explosion, right? Like when you finally get to that point in like your stomach flu situation. I like just finally got to that point and it was a real miracle, but it was before I caught all that, little niece and nephew just like right there on Christmas Day, like, and then at night, and if you just like they just stand there for a second and then go, I don't feel good, and like down, just let it loose.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Like that point where you like have like that to me, that's the scariest part of the stomach flu is like when you try to take that chance to see if you can eat like a little bit of a cracker and then like try to take like a little sip of juice or something like that, and then it's just like the waiting game. Like 20 minutes, you're just like, all right, one cracker, is it going to come back?
You're like, I had a tablespoon of Gatorade for the electrolytes. You did that on a plane.
Oh my God.
YOLO.
Leave it. Fucking YOLO, bro.
But they talk about kids being little germ factories, and Charlotte's like, well, wasn't Kira mortified? And they're like, she wasn't actually. She was just sort of like, whatever about it. I'd be so embarrassed. I would be calling everyone I knew and be like, did you fucking take somebody's shoes from this fucking party? You lunatic.
Right.
Get your ass back
party.
here.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's the thing. The fact that she was so nonchalant about it is like, to me, I think she fucking stole the shoes, honestly. Like, why would you be that nonchalant? Because I would be more like, I'm saying like the same thing like you. I would be mortified too. I'd be calling everybody like, yo, why would you embarrass me like that and take shoes from my party? Like, I'm going to get blamed for it. Why would you be so selfish? Like, I'd be finding everybody.
Yeah, I'd be like, Carrie, you and me, we're hunting them down like bounty hunter style. Like, let's go. Let's get these fucking shoes back.
Everybody I invited, house to house, apartment to apartment.
Yeah.
Wear the shoes.
We're kicking doors in. Where are these fucking shoes, man?
Especially with how much they cost you. Like, boy. That number, I was like,
I know. Miranda says, well, legally.
I don't know why Carrie wasn't like, yo, give me the list of everybody you invited and their addresses. Like, I'm going myself since she don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah, I would have been like, you're gonna need to name names about who was at this fucking party. Did you know everybody? Were there strangers here? I agree. I agree. Inside job. The sister was the one who made them take the shoes off. I think the sister's the middleman. Second, Carrie didn't walked into the party. That woman picked up the shoes, squirreled them away in the house.
It probably was a sister. It probably was a sister. It probably was her. She probably saw them shoes and was like, oh yeah, these are mine.
Yeah. She's like, you're gonna really need to take those off so I can wear them.
No, I would attract everybody down. Ain't no way I'm paying that much for shoes and somebody just don't get to have them.
Yeah.
No.
See, I think that's why I'm like okay with like that. Like, I think people think I'm weird and paranoid, but I'm like, if I have something nice or expensive, I cling to that shit like there's no tomorrow. Like, I don't let people borrow stuff hardly. I'm generous and like I give people like money or time or whatever, but like sometimes items I'm like, this is mine. I paid for this. Like,
I bought this for me. I bought this for me. So I want to keep it nice or I want to keep it close to me. And anybody that has a problem with that, go fuck yourself. Sorry. You didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
That's all I can tell you. You know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's 100%. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's nothing wrong with that at all. We all deserve a little something for us.
Yeah, and like Miranda says, Kira owes her, and Carrie's like, well, I can't. And Samantha's like, if she came to your house and you said no babies in the house and she made her leave the baby outside and the baby was missing at the end of the night, she'd want like compensation from you. Charlotte's like, that's not the same.
I mean, listen, understand where she was coming from, but you can't really
really not the same.
Doesn't really work in that situation. Like, who? First of all, who? If that woman showed up to Carrie's party and she was like, "No baby," she would just go home. She wouldn't leave her baby outside.
You know, some people don't give a fuck like that. I've read so many of these like "Am I the asshole" stories or like etiquette things where people it's usually something like people want like a child-free wedding, which one thing I'll say, I don't get it, because to me I'm like, marriage is like families coming together. So I'm like, kids are in families. Yeah, kids are at a wedding reception maybe. And people are like, well, I want like an uninterrupted ceremony. They're very hung up on like kids disrupting the ceremony, which to me I'm like,
like
it could happen, or like they're like hung up on like babies crying during ceremonies, and yeah, sometimes people don't take them out. I don't know. To me, I'm like, you're wedding together two families, babies and kids are in families. What are you gonna do? But if it's what you want, it's what you want, and you have every right to lay down that rule. And they also get hung up on them like at receptions and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but eventually kids tire out and parents take kids home in theory, or they just fall asleep on a chair somewhere during the reception. You can keep partying. It's fine. Right. You know, but in all fairness, usually the people who are trying to hold child-free weddings know that the people who are going to bring their kids that they're inviting have like unruly, terrible children that aren't parented, and that's what they're trying to prevent. So I kind of get that.
Yeah, and like we saw a little bit of that kind of parenting in this episode. I'm like, that's the kind of that's the kind of parenting that makes people not want children around. Like, if you have control over your kids and like they behaved, that's totally different. But if you let them like run around restaurants with fucking chocolate all over their faces and throw food at people and shit like that, keep your fucking kid at home, because clearly you're raising an animal.
Yeah, because Samantha is like, I'm tired of people who have kids everywhere in first class and fancy restaurants and all this, that, and the other thing. And in some ways, and I love kids, I have no problem with kids, but I also kind of agree, because again, whenever they're bringing them into these spaces that don't normally allow children, they're never being watched or parented. It's because the parent, like, I don't know. Well, if you can't find babysitting, well, don't bring the fucking kid. Like, that just seems like a bad idea to like a bar or something.
If you can't find babysitting, then you get to stay home, because that's
or like movies. A big one. You ever been in an R-rated movie with like a pack of toddlers in there for some godforsaken reason? I get it. Yes. I get people need to get out. I totally understand. I get babysitting is expensive, but it's ridiculous. It's not good for the kid. No one's having a good time at that point. If you're just getting out to get out, that's insane to me.
And kids shouldn't be at a movie theater unless, like, maybe if you're going to see a kid's film, yes, but like anything else, no. And I was like, if I'm going to see a kid's film, like if I go to see fucking something animated, I know there's gonna be kids there. I ain't gonna be tripping. Like, it's the name of the game. But if I'm going to see an Avengers movie, leave your kid at home. You don't get to see Spider-Man. You have a baby. You wait for it to come to streaming, and then you get to see it. No, I'm sorry.
I was in Infinity War, and there was like some littler kids, and they were getting fucked up at the end of Infinity War when everybody's disappearing, and Spider-Man's fading away and everything. They were flipping the fuck out, and that's like bad. Yeah, that's hard. Like,
dude, that was hard for us.
That's hard for an adult.
That's like, and that's PTSD right there.
I didn't actually, of the two movies, I did not really care for Infinity War. I just was like, this is very boring. But then the ending was like starting to get to me. I was like, oh, bummer. I was like, where's everybody going? But I was also at the same.
Everybody going? Where's everybody going? Like, they're just like, hey, see you. I don't want to do this anymore.
I also, because I'm enough of a cynic and to like know too much about Hollywood, I was like, well, they aren't all fucking dead because they all got contracts. They're all coming back. This is like, I don't know, something about it felt anticlimactic in a way to me. But even so, I'm not a total monster, because little Spider-Man going, Mr. Stark, I don't feel good. I was like, oh, baby. Like,
listen, if that didn't get you in your feels a little bit, you are for sure heartless.
Okay?
No. Like, that was a hard scene.
I'm not that tough. I didn't cry or anything, but I was like, oh, guy.
It'll get you, It's like, you'll feel something. You gotta feel something.
But
Where are they going? That's like a kid asking that. Where are they going?
Where are they
Mommy,
going?
where are they going?
Yeah.
Where's Spider-Man going?
Yeah, well, even a kids movie though. I saw that Peter Pan movie that came out in like 2003. Like my brother and I went to it around Christmas, and we were like, adults by that point. But there's like some scary Captain Hook stuff in it, and the kid had to be escorted out. See, the parent did the right thing though. Kid started melting the fuck down and freaking out about the scary Captain Hook stuff, and the parent made the right decision, which was scoop him up and get him out of the theater and be like, talk him off the ledge outside of the theater and be like, it's okay, it's a movie, it's not real. That's what you do. You don't let him sit in there and like wail and flip out and like
unless to shush them and like that. Like, no, the kid is in a moment. Like once kids get into like a highly emotional moment, there's no shushing or calming them down. Like you got to take them out of the situation. Them out. So they can get their shit together.
Yeah, calm them down, because then you can be like, well, you know what? When we go back in, bet things are going to be okay. Bet things have turned around, right. And or if they haven't yet, they will. Don't worry. And then you bring it back in, then you see, oh, Peter Pan's defeated Hook. It's all good, right. So on and so forth. It's all as well. But like, and to Samantha's point, as you said, there's this little kid, as Samantha's ranting, running around the restaurant. He has chocolate all over his face. He's like a total mess. And Samantha even says sorry to Miranda, because Miranda has a kid. And Miranda's like, I wouldn't bring Brady to this restaurant. Like, this is a me time thing.
She's like, look, I don't like kids. That's not mine anyway. Like,
yeah.
I like any other kid that's not Brady. So I'm with Samantha. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Because Charlotte's like, no, put the grave.
Aren't you going to defend kids? And Miranda's like, hell no. Hell no.
Yeah, like any kid that's not mine, go fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And like, and I get that. And it's funny too, because like, I think there are people who are
most parents, by the way, that they really don't like kids other than their own, because like you kind of you're like honestly, biologically and socially obligated to love them, but like what kids consist of, and you don't want to deal with it when it's not yours. So it's 100% like the truest thing a parent will ever say.
And like, I think there's a middle ground, because there's like this trend and movement of people being like super anti-kid, like, but like too almost like over the top. They're like, kids freak me out. They're creepy. I don't want to be near them. They're terrible. They're horrible. They do ruin everything. And like, kids shouldn't exist. I'm like, okay, well, somebody's got to like, continue onward.
Like,
so
you used to be a kid, you know that, right? Like,
and I know every time
you used to be a kid, you know that, right? Like,
thank you.
Somebody probably said the same shit about you. You know that.
I think that every time, like, does it suck to have like a crying baby on a plane or something like that? Like, but like, what are you gonna do? Like, if it's something you're like, and you don't get to pass judgment on like what the person's traveling for. It's none of your fucking business why they're traveling with a baby.
You never know.
You truly never know. Could be something fun. They're going on vacation. Could be a fucking funeral. You really don't know. And so like, just fucking chill. Put your fucking headphones in. It's not
put your headphones on and fucking watch the movie and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but the fact that people are like, oh, how dare they like exist? And I wouldn't even hate, like, if they like sold child-free flights, fuck it, I'd probably take one. Why not? But
let me tell you something. 100%.
Who would
pay the price? Yeah, not gonna lie. Yeah. I don't mind kids, but if I have a choice to not have a crying baby on a flight, especially if it's like a long flight, yes.
But I think there's like people going overboard with like the kid hate, but I think it's also a reaction to the people who are like, no, I bring my children everywhere and I don't care what the rules are, who says what. My child is so special and wonderful and perfect. They get to come everywhere and do everything with me. And like, that's not great for kids either, because guess what? Like, you ever been dragged to something where it's all adults and you? That's boring as hell. And yes, you will act up and misbehave and have a bad time. So like, maybe it's okay if mom leaves you at home, like when she goes out for a night or whatever, or like goes to anything, babysitter,
an aunt's house or something.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure. Yeah, because that's the worst thing you could do to a kid is taking them to an all adult setting, and there's like just them and their sibling, or just like one kid there.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, or no, not a child in sight,
or no kid,
and nothing to do. Like, I'm thinking of like the days where I got like, I was quite a bit younger than my brother, so like at a certain point he didn't have to like be dragged to stuff. He could like stay home, or he was out doing other things, but I would get taken, like errands or this, that, or the other thing. And I didn't have any screens or whatever. and like wasn't always toting a book or a toy or whatever, you got to entertain yourself. And I was pretty well behaved. I didn't do too much, but like, imagine if I wasn't. I'm gonna
Right.
get into shit.
But that's the thing too. Like even now, yeah, kids got screens and shit like that, but they get bored with that too eventually. Like
Yeah.
if you got somewhere, if it's like, most kids, they'll probably be on that thing for like maybe an hour, maybe two at best if they're playing enough games. But then if that bitch dies, now what?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
Anyway. So Carrie goes back though and drops the brown shoes off at Kira's and is like, Kira's like, oh, I didn't even think, I completely forgot about the shoes. That I let you borrow. And Carrie's like, oh yeah, no problem. Any news about mine that were stolen from your fucking house?
Right.
And Kira's like, oh no. And then this is when she finally says, oh, I should pay you for them, I'm so sorry, I made you take the shoes off, I should pay for them. And Carrie kind of tries to politely decline, and Kira's like, I just forget because I have kids. That's another shitty thing, is people who just are like, oh, I forgot to do something. Now I know we joked in the other episode about Miranda making the cupcakes and like how she should have bailed on it and blamed the baby. That's one thing. That's a different situation. This shit where you're like just super inconsiderate and then you just go, oh, I'm a mother, I'm a parent, so I just forgot. I don't think about that stuff.
I'm such a mother that I don't even think about anybody else in my life except for my kids.
Except
like that's kind of self.
That's bullshit.
Well, here's the thing. Even if it's a legit, the fact that you don't see that as something that's kind of shitty is pretty fucked up. Yeah.
So she invites Carrie in and she makes her take her fucking shoes off again. Which was pretty funny.
I would have walked right into her living room, sat down with my shoes on. I'm like, no, bitch, I already lost a pair. Shut up.
Yeah, nice try, sticky fingers.
Shut up.
And so she's gonna start to write a check to Carrie, and she's like, well, how much were they? And Carrie's like, $485.
Woo, boy, let me tell you something.
And Carrie's like, that's insane, I'll give you 200. And Carrie's like, well, they were Manila Blahniks, you know what they cost, you used to wear them. And she's like, that was before I had a real life. Get fucked, Kira. That's fucking real life.
Like, I don't listen. Fuck you and your real life. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, the shoes cost $480 and you're offering me $200. You better be glad Carrie's not a violent person, because that definitely deserves a kick in the chest. Like, how dare you insult me? That's like, dude. Okay, so to give you even better, like, I'm like kind of in a dispute right now with a production company that didn't pay me for over 30 days. And after, actually more than 30 days, it was like 60 days. And they owe me like $4,500. So I get on the phone with them, talking with the bureau, the labor bureau, in between them and trying to broker a deal. And the lady that's talking on behalf of the production company, they owe me $4,500. Let me mind you. She goes, well, I'm only authorized to approve $300. Would you settle for that?
What?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
I literally put him on the phone. I was like, you know what? Here, let me give you my address so you can come over to my house and kick me in the balls, because that's exactly what you just did with that fucking offer. So why don't you come and do it in person, so I at least feel like you consider me a human being. If you think 300 out of 4,500 is okay, just come to my house and kick me in the balls, please.
Yeah. Ridiculous. Ugh.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what Kira talking about, some $200. No, bitch, $85. That's what the price is. If you're not willing to write that check, then don't offer to pay, because that's what it costs.
And the insult on top of it of like, well, Carrie's like, I have a real life, and Kira's like, well, we shouldn't have to pay for your extravagant lifestyle. And she like just brushes off. She's like, they're just shoes to Carrie. And again, I go, it's the real life thing, which is a problem. This is a very real thing for women in particular. I know guys too, but like, when a lot of times you run into like, guys can be successful on their own and be single and whatnot, and people like respect it. They're like, oh, he's an entrepreneur, yeah, he's on the grind. It's look at him go. Women, they're like, but you're not married and you don't have a baby, so how could your life mean anything?
Yeah.
And it's like, it does, and it can, plenty. And that the fact that she's getting shamed by this friend for not having what the friend considers a real life is ridiculous,
Like, yeah, I mean, if that works for you, that's cool. That's what you consider having a real life. But like, you can't insult me for not having those things. But here's the thing: the only thing, and the thing is too, like, you shouldn't say anything like that to somebody that you consider a friend. Like, why? Like that's you're only saying that to be shitty. Like, you're saying that to like, because obviously you feel, I guess, some kind of guilt for the fact that her shoes got stolen at your party, and you're trying to deflect by saying something like pretty shitty. Like, why would you even say that to somebody? You know what I mean? And also too, like, if you're even thinking about a person like that, as a woman, if you're saying that like a woman's happiness comes from being married and having kids and all this other stuff, why would you say something so hurtful if you think that's what she's trying to have?
Yeah.
That's just mean. That's just fucking mean.
Because clearly Kira doesn't know Carrie's life all that well. So,
it doesn't matter. But I'm saying, if you're in your head, if you're saying that this is what a woman should have, and like that's what she should be striving for, why would you then insult her that way? You know what I mean? Like, and still call her a friend. Like that, you can't be that mean to somebody and call them a friend. Like that's fucked up.
And also, I know we were saying Kira should be embarrassed. Shouldn't Kira be worried that she's inviting dirty, stinking thieves into her house with her children?
That's a good point. Yeah, I'm saying, especially, like, dude, I'd be checking,
the jewelry boxes,
jewelry boxes, and fucking see if my silverware is gone and shit like that. Like, because clearly, if somebody could just take a pair of shoes and walk on out, they probably took other shit. And they probably done it time and time again. Yeah. Every time you probably had a party. Yeah.
Yeah. So Carrie is talking to Miranda, who's going through her chickenpox problems, and Miranda's like, she's a bitch. A+ friendship. But she is. And she insists that, she owes Carrie, and Carrie's like, it's not about the money. I don't care about the money. And I wrote, bitch, you better. Your finances still aren't that great, Carrie.
Right. It's not about the money to me, it's the principle, yo. It's like, it's the principle. That's my thing. It's like,
but she said she's like, as we were saying, she's like, I'm talking about women's right to shoes, haha. But she's like, why did I have to be shamed by her about like, not having kids or a husband or whatever? And Miranda's like, it's because she's in a hell of her own making, like I am, because I got chickenpox from my baby.
Facts. But here's the thing. I agree that spending $500 on a pair of shoes is ridiculous, but that's just like how I was.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't insult her by saying, "Oh, you're spending money on shoes instead of being a mother like a woman's supposed to be." That's just like,
that's shitty. Ridiculous.
So that's ridiculous. That's cold-blooded.
And before Carrie and Miranda hang up, Miranda calls the Kira a fucking bitch one more time just for the road, which makes me laugh. Because Carrie then ponders, the like, when we're little, we're taught to accept differences, but then as we get older, we kind of stop doing that. When did we stop being free to be you and me? And I think like we're saying, a lot of people, societally believe like, you're supposed to get married and have kids, and if you don't, you're kind of less than. And this is kind of nice for the show to address this finally, because so much of the show up to this point had been like, if you're single in New York after a certain age, it's over for you. Your life is, not great because you don't got a man and all that stuff. And like a little late in the game, but it's nice of the show to kind of finally acknowledge, what, Carrie is pretty successful in what she does. She's got a good group of friends, and her own place that she owns thanks to Charlotte. And she's got like a pretty kicking life if you think about it realistically.
She's happy enough,
and she seems happy enough in her life right now. So why is that, like, how is her life any less real than the woman with 3 kids' life? Like, it's not. And that's kind of a nice point for the show to finally make. Like, like I said, a little late in the game. We are in the final season. But
hey, listen, better late than never, as they always say.
Exactly. Sometimes it takes you longer to realize things than others, and that's okay. As long as you realize it.
Yeah.
So Carrie calls Kira, that's too many era names, to try to kind of talk the situation out. And she's like, Carrie, I forgot about that days ago. I just, and Carrie's like, well, I've kind of been thinking about it a lot. And Kira really snidely goes, oh, you must have so much time on your hands. Bitch.
Carrie, at this point, you have to fight her. Like that's
in front of her children to make a point.
Yeah. Yeah. She's just being so dismissive and disrespectful, and especially too when people are just like in that when you've been that dismissive about something, obviously it means something to me. So like, just consider my feelings, and you're not. It's like, ooh.
We're watching a friendship die in real time in this episode.
Literally, yeah, literally, for real.
And Kira doesn't even like.
Already did. To be honest, they probably were never really truly friends because, if she can say that kind of shit to somebody like that, then we're really ever friends.
They seem a very, very surface friendship, but this Kira is so distracted after she drops that like snide bomb. She sets the phone down because her kids are doing something in the background, and like her little daughter picks up the phone. And she goes, "Is this Santa?" And then hangs up on Carrie, which is cute. I didn't hate it because I'm like, kids are funny.
It's
cute. But then Carrie's out with Charlotte discussing all the gift giving, and she has gotten an engagement gift, a wedding gift, gone on the wedding trip, and given gifts for 3 kids to this woman, and total over $2,300 celebrating her.
Yeah.
And this woman's given her shit for the $485 that Carrie spent on herself in the first place.
Yeah, I find it very interesting that like the extravagant gifts that she's bought her over the years aren't money, but the second she wants to buy like a nice pair of shoes for herself, that's useless spending. Got it.
Yeah. And it's funny, so Charlotte's like, well, they're gifts, she'd do the same, and Carrie's like, yeah, but what if I never get married or have a baby? Then I get nothing. After you graduate, high school or college, there's really not an occasion people celebrate you other than your birthday. But she's like, everybody gets birthdays, that doesn't quite count. There's as far as like life accomplishments, if you're single, people don't celebrate, you don't make a registry for like a promotion or even buying a house and stuff like that on your own. And Charlotte's like,
even like if you get a promotion and shit like that, like nobody really brings over gifts, you know what I'm saying? Maybe like other coworkers might to congratulate you, but like your friends, they just kind of come over and drink your booze at your house and then go home. Like, it's not,
there's no like gifts. Like I said, there's no registry for like, I got a new job or I got a promotion or I moved or or sometimes there's housewarming-y type things, but there's, again, that's just people bringing you stuff as a housewarming gift, not like a true like registry, like announcing like a major life thing for you. Charlotte's sort of like, wait, why should I get wedding gifts when finding Harry was enough? And Carrie's like, no, I'm not saying no gifts ever. She's like, I'm just saying I want some gifts for single people from time to time. And I say amen. Because like, it's funny this came out when it did. I feel like that kind of notion didn't really go anywhere. I'm seeing it a little more and more recently. Especially as women are tending to stay single either longer or indefinitely. Because sorry, some of you guys aren't shit and you're not. What do we bring to the table? Sorry, what are you bringing to the table? Okay, good question.
Both sides, for sure.
But it's true, as far if a man, woman, or non-binary or what have you, if you have like a big accomplishment, you should be able to like celebrate it somehow in a way on par, maybe not on par with like a wedding or a baby, but something like a little something. Without you necessarily having to like initiate it, because it is tacky to ask for gifts for stuff like but it should sort of be like, hey, you got promoted or like you got cast in a big role, like let's buy you some shit, let's do it. I'd love to. Let me know when it happens, and if I have money, I'll do it. I have squeaked out of several wedding gift registries because I was a bridesmaid, and for most of them I was traveling the furthest. Nice. So I just didn't buy anybody anything.
Now, you know what though? I do like the idea of like a housewarming registry. That'd be nice.
Yeah, of
especially
like
if you're a
shit you
single.
actually need.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, because like people who get married, they get a registry for for them to start their life over. That's basically like the same thing for a housewarming. What would be for a housewarming. So I'd be cool with that. That'd be nice.
And it's funny too, like wedding registries and baby registries for sure, but wedding registries, excuse me, are becoming, I keep reading, are becoming slightly less and less of a thing because people are getting married later. So you usually have all the shit you need for a house together between the two of you. So, unless you just really want new shit. Which why not?
Yeah. Like let's be honest. If I'm getting married, I definitely want new shit.
I want some new shit.
I want some new shit. Yeah.
Be like, but honey, I already have.
That's what I'm gonna call the registry. New shit. That's the name of the registry. I want some new shit.
Yeah, like I would love some new towels. I don't know. I need a good brand. And if I get like a new job or whatever, there's no registry I can go to get my fucking new towels, and I just gotta go wander around a department store and feel them until I find a set I like.
Yeah.
Incidentally, if you have towel recommendations, anybody, let me know.
Right in the comments.
Right in the comments. So after that discussion, we do get this one little side scene with Samantha. She's trying to have a working lunch at a restaurant, and she's on her cell phone. I'm sorry, she is being obnoxious. She's being kind of loud and annoying.
100%.
Sorry.
Yeah. Would not disagree. Yeah, do not disagree with that. Yeah. She would definitely want.
But there's also like an annoying mom and kid. The mom is really overly like baby talking loud to the kid about like eating his food. Yeah. This is like an everybody's terrible situation, to be honest. No one is in the right here. But right, the waiter does come up to Samantha and she's like, we don't allow cell phones. And she's like, really? What about the kid? And he's like, that's a kid. And there's really not a lot I can do about that.
However,
you can ask them to lower their voices.
You can definitely, you can go over there and be like, "Hey, do you guys mind like keeping the noise level down? You are disturbing the rest of the customers, right?" Yeah. Because it'd be the same thing as if, like not somebody talking on the phone, right? Clearly heard, yelling on the phone is disturbing somebody, or somebody's having like an extremely loud conversation. It's like great that you're all having a good time, but like not everybody trying to hear what the fuck y'all talking about, like the whole restaurant. So like. That's the same thing. You can go over and politely ask, like, listen, I know understand he's a kid, but like, can you keep the noise level down? Like, because here's the thing, at the end of the day, yes, he's a kid, but you are an adult, so you can take control of the situation.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
So Samantha goes to confront the mom and like she's like, you should take him elsewhere that's more appropriate. And then the kid like chucks his pesto pasta on Samantha, who is in an all-white suit, we should point out. Kiss that suit goodbye. Sorry.
And again, the mom just like kind of smirks and doesn't do anything. It's like, okay, yes. In that moment was Samantha being a little bit of a bitch, sure, but that doesn't give your kid the right to throw food onto her. You don't even reprimand him. You even congratulate him on it. Mm-hmm. Come on.
Like I said, I think it's less kids that people genuinely hate. I think it's parents and they just don't know how to articulate it. Because you only see you only see the result or like the action of the kid. You don't think about like the process that led the kid to behave that way. Because like, yes, at a certain age, they're like independent thinking and mobile and whatnot, but like behavior is learned. So if you're like, oh, I hate how kids always do this, and it's like, it's because they learned that it's okay from their parent. Mm-hmm. So it's bad parenting you hate more than anything. You don't. Most people don't hate kids. I think.
Yeah, no, Samantha was a better person than me because if that kid had thrown food at me, I'd have taken that mom plate and shoved it in her face. I'm like, there you go. Can't do it to the kid because the kid's a kid. You didn't discipline him. Not the kid's fault. It's your fault. Take this plate. Right to the chest. I would put that plate right in her fucking chest, right in her blouse.
Now Smash we're both going to the dry cleaner. Yeah. So they can work a miracle.
You know what I'm saying? Because here's the thing. Maybe they'll make the mom think twice about letting her kid just be out there eating pesto spaghetti with his fucking hands. Like an animal.
Yeah.
Jesus
so
Christ.
Back to that's kind of all we really get out of Samantha in the episode. So we go back to Carrie, who calls and leaves a voicemail for Kira, and they have like one of those like really cutesy outgoing messages. They're like, "You've reached Kira and so and the babies and the kids are talking," whatever.
Yeah.
So she leaves a voicemail saying, like, I'm getting married to myself and I'm registered at Manolo Blahnik. And Kira goes to the store and asks what's on the registry, and it's the shoes. And they are $485 plus tax. And Kira's there with her kids running around. Kira's a bad mom. She's letting these little kids run around this fancy store.
Yeah.
And the lady's like, could you watch your kids? We don't want them touching the shoes.
Also, too, she don't the fact that she's letting them run around that fancy store is like, that's hurting you, because if they ruin any of the shoes, you know,
you
who's
gotta buy
paying
2 pairs.
Yeah. Because they're not gonna just like they're not like, oh, kids will be kids and let you walk out of the store. No, that's like thousands of dollars of merchandise. So if you ruin any pair of that, now you own that pair because you're buying them.
Because I'm sorry, I'm sure you were taught. I know I was taught, if you are in a store, 100%. Hands to yourself, 100%. Look with your eyes, not with your hands.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
If anything, when my mom went shoe shopping, if I was with her, I had to sit in the chair next to her while she's out on shoes. I wasn't going nowhere.
Yeah, you're not wandering the shoe aisles. You just sit there patiently. In theory,
I seen other little kids ripping and running. Yeah, I wanted to do that, but I definitely sure didn't want to get you off the chair because I wasn't trying to get popped in the butt. Hell no.
Yeah, no. One time on the show I worked on, we ran a clip, and it was like I think it was somewhere in I forget what country, but there was like some crystal glass like sculpture thing, and like some, not even like little kid, but some kid like just absolutely like reached out and like broke it just by like tapping it. It came like all shattering down, and our one host was like, I who raised that child? Because the first rule is like, hands to yourself. Don't look at anything. Don't ask for anything. Nothing. You're done. It's over.
Jesus, bro.
Yeah, ridiculous. So Kira does go through with it and send Carrie the shoes as if they were a wedding gift, complete with a little card that's like, oh, congratulations. And Carrie calls it her first wedding present and goes out strutting. That's the end of the episode.
Let me tell you something. though. I don't really fuck with Carrie, but that pettiness, top notch.
Yeah, this is
top fucking notch. Because fuck you, bitch. Because you're not, disrespect me twice and then be nonchalant about it. No, you gonna I'm going to get compensated. That's what she was determined to get compensated, and she got her compensation. I fuck with it.
Yeah, but I think this is justified because, again, apparently Kira knows a dirty, stinking thief who will pilfer shoes from a party.
Yeah, and won't do anything about it.
And will stand idly by and let the crime happen.
Like, well, that's what. But I see. But I'm thinking, though, you might be right. I'm thinking either her Inside or job. The sister, because Carrie said, she was like, you used to wear these kind of shoes. You understand how much they cost. You know what the value of them are. Mm-hmm. And she kind of just like breezes by that. So I think if you were to go into Kira's closet, you see her shoes. Yep. That's all I'm saying. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
All right. We are on to you, Kira.
On to you. That's why the petty level was on point. Shouts out to Carrie on that one.
So that's our episode for this week. And you can find us on Instagram at Show Me What Podcast most easily, and that'll take you to Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. And you can find me on social media at Elizabeth Movies. Chris, where can they find you?
Yeah. You can find me on all social medias at Christopher T. Mack, as you can see on the screen if you're watching. Or if you're not, just listen to what I just said.
Yep. And as always, Arlo Australia candles, promo code Show Me Miss. Buy them for someone in your life to celebrate them.
Yeah.
As befitting the theme of this episode. Celebrate someone you like and one of their accomplishments with an Arlo Australia candle.
Yes.
You'll be glad you did.
Yeah, buy it for somebody single too. Don't buy it for people with kids because fire hazards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Buy it for somebody single.
Yep. And that's this week's episode. We'll see you again next week.
Like, comment, subscribe.